You're watching WWMT Channel 3, covering all of West Michigan. Barry Shanley, Cindy Dole, Scott Bryant's sports, and meteorologist John Wendell's weather. This is News 3.
More than 24 hours after tragedy on a California lake, workers continue the grim task of searching for bodies. Hello, West Michigan. I'm Cindy Dole.
And I'm Barry Shanley. Divers continue to search for the bodies of 7 who fell through the ice on Convict Lake in California. One body was recovered earlier today by authorities after 3 teenagers and 4 would-be rescuers slipped to their deaths beneath the ice. The youngsters were staying at a privately run probation camp about 2 miles from the lake and were on a recreational outing when the accident occurred. A volunteer fireman and a U.S. Forest Service employee tried to rescue the teens, but also fell through the ice. Officials say extreme cold could hamper the search because the bodies could sink to the bottom of the lake. 4 Cubans died while trying to reach the Florida coast in tiny life rafts and makeshift inner tubes. 9 people left the Cuban coast 100 miles away 2 weeks ago. And when the Coast Guard found them today, 5 were alive, many of them unconscious. Cubans arriving by sea are usually allowed to stay in this country.
Czechoslovakian President Václav Havel got some good news today at the White House. President Bush cleared the way to negotiate a trade agreement and give Czechoslovakia the most liberal access possible to American markets. Havel will address Congress tomorrow. The people of Comstock won a victory tonight with the Township Board. About 100 people turned out, many to fight the sale of the Celery Street Park. Supervisor Joseph Brugan said that the property is probably worth more than the township would get for it, and you can see the people are against it. A young member of the crowd is glad to keep her park.
I just want to thank you for letting us have our park.
The board also decided to purchase land for the proposed community center expansion. Some residents are unhappy about a park that may be built on some of the leftover land.
Kalamazoo County Commission now has guidelines to use in evaluating a particular candidate for the county administrator position. Those guidelines were drawn up by the candidate in question. The board approved a 2-phase plan submitted by County Controller Wes Freeland. Freeland is the only in-house candidate being considered for the administrator position, vacated by David Collier in December. Freeland says his plan is in the county's best interest.
And I think we need to go through that to basically set a composite or a foundation for what this commission wants to see for the future. And I think that kind of a process will accomplish that.
The county is not ruling out an outside candidate for the administrator position, however. Evidence of groundwater contamination is present in Cooper Township in northern Kalamazoo County. Michigan Disposal Service, a landfill operator in Kalamazoo, says a petroleum-based solvent appeared in one of its monitoring wells. The wells are 800 feet north of the proposed Cooper landfill. Michigan Disposal says there is no danger to drinking water well contamination. The company, while not claiming responsibility, says it will clean up the problem. Cindy?
Kalamazoo school district officials say water in their drinking fountains is safe. Test results released today show that each building is in compliance with EPA standards for lead in water. But when the tests were first run last summer, samples in 3 buildings were above federal guidelines. District officials say they've corrected the problem by having workers flush the pipes with fresh water every morning. The test results were favorable enough to spare the district from having to replace plumbing, which could have been costly.
The general testing process went really well. Those schools or those facilities that were out of compliance through some general processes got back into compliance very easily. So we're extremely pleased to be 100% in compliance and to have a good and clean bill of health.
Kalamazoo schools are among the first in the state to complete the testing procedure.
It said the environment is the issue of the 90s. Toxic and non-toxic trash is piling up all over West Michigan. Destination 2000 may not be an easy trip if we don't learn to handle our waste. And News 3's environmental reporter Cindy Straub is here to tell us how solid waste is going to affect our lives and our lifestyles in the year 2000.
Well, Barry and Cindy, for many years, people have just kind of taken an out-of-sight, out-of-mind approach to trash. We toss and then we forget about it. But times are changing dramatically when it comes to dumping. And in the 90s, we're all realizing that it's our problem and we must face it. We'll face it 4 ways. We'll bury it, burn it, recycle it, and hopefully reduce it. Garbage mountains are piling up on the landscape of the most wasteful society on earth. We're getting buried in trash, and we're running out of places to put it. The average amount of trash per American is 3.5 pounds every day. That accumulates to 160 million tons a year, and by 1999, we'll be searching for someplace to put 193 million tons of trash if something isn't done about it.
I think clearly the public wants solutions. They want to participate in it.
Newberry says Kent County is coming up with solutions for solid waste. A state-of-the-art incinerator, a state-of-the-art landfill that handles regular trash and incinerator ash could make the Grand Rapids area a model for the state. Now that's if the planned recycling program makes its way to the curbside. But there's so much confusion over how to handle solid waste, a program to imitate could be the key.
We clearly have a crisis in Michigan. We've got a very limited number of years available for existing landfill space.
And remarkable reductions are expected in just 2 years. A drawback to the disintegrating debris in landfills is methane gas. It destroys ozone, so it must be burned off. An innovative approach in Three Rivers is using the gas to generate electricity and heat the West Side Recycling Center. New landfills are alarmingly controversial. During the decade, excited environmentalists could be deciding many issues. Just a few weeks ago, an organized group forced the recall of Kalamazoo County Commissioner Jack Gibson. That was over his support of a proposed landfill site in Cooper Township. The citizens are concerned about toxic liquids seeping out of the landfill into the groundwater and possibly into the Kalamazoo River. Members say they'll stop at nothing to stop the landfill.
Leadership part of the concerned citizens say that we're going to stop that riverbank installation any way we can.
A candidate for Gibson's seat is proposing incineration. And as we've seen in Battle Creek in recent weeks, incineration can be just as hot a topic as landfilling. It seems that not generating as much garbage generates the most support.
By the year 2000, if we could also have a good waste reduction program so that we can reduce waste that are produced, we wouldn't have to manage any of this by recycling and landfilling or incineration.
Pollution prevention is going to be a part of all of our lives in the 90s. It's important for businesses, too, because it helps them reduce their bottom line. Here at the Dow Chemical Company, the workers actually contribute to the program, and they also take special interest in it.
Basically, I use my conscience to decide how I handle materials. I live in this community, in this area, and I drink the water and I breathe the air.
Wackerly takes smaller samples from the tanks for testing than he did about 5 years ago. It's the industrial theme of the decade to reduce waste, especially toxic waste, because if it isn't there, it doesn't have to be dealt with. And right now, the workers deal with it every day. Dow expects to save about $30 million reducing waste, and everyone can find ways to do that, and we will, because we'll all be paying more to have our trash taken away.
And how are we going to reduce?
Well, one thing that can be done is the standardization of bottles, jugs, and jars so they can be reused, which is actually one step beyond recycling, and that's the subject of tomorrow night's report, recycling.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Cindy.
Next on News 3, John Wendell takes a look at what would be warmer conditions.
And a musical thank you to the Head Start program.
Is this how you think of AIDS? That it could suddenly hit? AIDS seldom strikes by chance. You can protect yourself. Call 1-800-872-AIDS. What you don't know can hurt you.
Our only clue was an old picture of a restaurant in Paris where Tim's parents got married. Tim got called to Paris to cover the bicentennial. And instead of missing his folks' 50th anniversary, we came up with a plan. It's real good. Find the restaurant. Maybe pull this thing off.
Okay, go ahead and give her a kiss. Great, happy.
We're so glad you made that call.
AT&T Long Distance. No one else gives you this remarkable power to manage your world. No one.
Thank you for using AT&T.
Chief Meteorologist John Wendell's forecast has the American Meteorological Society seal of approval.
In the last year alone, nearly 70,000 Ford and GM truck owners traded in their trucks for a tough Toyota truck. Why? Because Toyota is more truck for their money. Toyota tops Ford Ranger in standard horsepower and payload. Now Toyota dealers are out to switch thousands more to Toyota, and they're out to beat any deal. You can save thousands of dollars because option discounts and incentives are the biggest of the year. So now's the best time to put Toyota quality in your garage. Hurry to your Toyota dealer now for a money-saving deal on great Toyota quality.
So nice and warm that it's looking more and more like a meltdown, really.
Actually, for the next couple of days. But then Mother Nature comes back into things and says it's still winter, just in time for the weekend. Highs today across West Michigan, close to the normal, right around 33 degrees. 33 in Kalamazoo, 32 in Grand Rapids and Muskegon, while it was 31 degrees in Battle Creek. Overnight low temperatures were quite chilly, down into the single numbers. Well, temperatures right now have dropped down back into the 20s, but right now it looks like they'll hold steady. As a matter of fact, they could even go up before morning. 25 degrees Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo, while it's 23 in Three Rivers, 22 in Battle Creek. And along the lakefront, temperatures are a few degrees warmer in the upper 20s and even 31 degrees up in Muskegon. Well, up over in Galesburg, 22 degrees thanks to Vera Bradford. In Hartford, it's also 22 thanks to Holly Kays. And down in Union City, Eleanor Singer says it's 21 degrees. Relative humidity right now at 60%. Barometric pressure is high. It is starting to fall. Winds now out of the south anywhere from 6 to 14 miles an hour. Wind chill readings 10 to 16. Here's a satellite picture. Clear skies across much of Michigan, and it looks like we'll see plenty of sunshine again tomorrow. We do have some clouds back through Iowa, Nebraska, South Dakota that might work their way in, but these are mainly the high, thin type clouds, and the sun should shine right through those during the day. Some moisture will be working its way up from the south by Thursday, giving us a slight chance for rain, but a better chance will be on Friday as a cold front works its way down from the north. Lakeland, down in Florida, once again, nation's hot spot at 86 degrees. International Falls set a record high temperature with 48 degrees. And West Yellowstone, it was 24 degrees below zero this morning. That was the nation's cold spot.